Hello, everyone. It's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. There's been some concern lately about the status of Steve Fambro because for many, many months, we haven't seen much of him in front of the camera. We've seen a lot of Chris Anthony at all the events, and we've not seen Steve Fambro at many of the events, and he was not there at Fully Charged, and that made a lot of people concerned about where was he? Was he backing away from the company? Was he being pushed out? Is he having health problems? What's going on with Steve Fambro? A lot of people were wondering about that. Now, I did happen to meet Michael Johnson, who's one of the founders of Aptera, and I asked him at Fully Charged what Steve Fambro was doing, and he told me that Steve Fambro was in Europe talking to suppliers and getting supply agreements. So he was working behind the scenes. He just wasn't in front of the camera very much. But it does look like Steve Fambro is kind of back in front of the camera and back doing events. Just a few weeks ago, there was a business mixer event at Aptera's new facility, and he was there and involved with all the talks and being in front of the camera and mixing with people. And so he's definitely back in the mix. And most recently, he was on CNN International doing an interview with Eleni Jokos. And I will put that video here to follow. Most of you guys have probably seen that video, so there's not any new information there. He does happen to mention that Aptera is $29,000 in that video. I believe that he just misspoke because it's very easy to say 29,000 rather than 25,900. The numbers look very similar. There's been no official statement that Aptera is changing their pricing. And during their preferred investor event a while back, they were still saying 25,900. So I don't think there's been a change, and that 29,000 was just him misspeaking a little bit. But anyway, here's the video from CNN International, and it's good to see that Steve Fambro is back in the saddle.
Moving closer to reality, a solar electric car, which looks like something out of the Jetsons, just clocked up an important milestone. This three-wheeled wonder is the Aptera. It's being developed in the US, and its makers claim it can drive for 1,000 miles on a single charge. That's an industry record. Now, on top of that, solar panels over most of the bodywork mean that for short journeys, it doesn't need charging at all. The latest prototype, the Gamma, went on display last month, and the aim is to get a production vehicle on the road by the end of the year. The company says it's had 30,000 pre-orders from customers in over 100 countries, representing over $1 billion of income. It is a story of perseverance for Steve Fambro, Aptera's co-founder and co-chief executive. Thank you, sir, for joining us. It is exciting to see this. I was reading the story and I'm thinking, is this the end of the combustion engine? Are we one step closer?
I think so. I mean, with our latest video that we published the other day showing our solar production starting to ramp up, it's just one step closer for sure.
All right, let's talk about how this vehicle works. And you've had a lot of orders coming through. Could you give me a sense of how you're able to commercialize this? We know that you're currently in Gamma phase. What does that mean realistically?
Gamma is the last phase of development before production intent. So the Delta product vehicle, which will be coming out next year, will be completely production intent, off of production tooling, made with production processes. And right now, and until that time, we'll be working on our supply chain, getting all those parts in inventory, getting the systems working and talking together so that we can actually scan material as it comes in and build the vehicle. So right now, what you don't see is all the work that's happening behind the scenes to make this a production-ready product, supply chain, inventory management, ERP, all those kinds of things.
I mean, it is quite exciting. I think of sort of the normal automotive space and original equipment manufacturers and just what kind of parts they require. Could you break that down for us in terms of what the Aptera would need and the supply chains, the value chains that you'd need to start tapping into?
Well, the big thing, and you can see by the shape of it, it's very efficient, and that means it uses very little energy. So what that means for supply chain is we're using far less batteries to go the same amount of mileage as a typical electric vehicle. In terms of the body, a typical automotive body in white, as they're called, has several hundred parts. Our vehicle has 6 main structural parts. So our supply chain is actually smaller than a typical car because we use fewer cells, fewer batteries, and fewer parts in general because of the composite design.
You also seem to be breaking a lot of records in terms of how far this vehicle could go, and also exciting where you have people already doing pre-orders. Could you tell me about some of these clients? Are they businesses? Is it in personal capacity? And where will this vehicle be shipped to?
Yeah, anyone can go on our website, aptera.us, and pre-order, reserve, or even invest in the company. Right now, we've got about 35,000 pre-orders. It's almost $1.5 billion worth of product. And an overwhelming majority of those 30,000 are just in North America. So we've got people in Germany, Switzerland, Australia, but we've got our work cut out just to deliver the ones that we have in North America first.
Is there enough sunshine in Germany to keep this vehicle going? I'm wondering. Where I am in Abu Dhabi, I'm sure I'd be able to consider it. I want to talk about the problems, right? So you've got to have a good battery efficiency. You've got to think about how you're going to recharge. Could you take us through those issues that you've been dealing with?
Well, the issues really are with any small company producing a vehicle. It's, how do you ramp up? How do you hire fast enough? How are you fundraising? How are you doing all these things that you have to do and staying on track? But I would say, in terms of things like batteries, our problems are fewer than a typical company, typical EV company, because our battery just has to do less work, right? It doesn't have to work as hard. It can be smaller, has fewer parts, it costs less. And I think that's one of the things that make our vehicle so attractive is that you can go 400 miles on a single charge with the middle of the road battery pack. You don't even have to get the most expensive option.
And very quickly, how much does this vehicle cost? Is it cheaper than me going and buying a combustion engine vehicle or a normal EV?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the cheapest one is around $29,000, and that'll go 250 miles on a charge. And even with solar, you may never have to plug it in. So you'll be able to go to Dubai and Abu Dhabi back and forth twice in one charge.
Very interesting. Look, there's a lot of sun to go around here, so I'm sure it'll keep those vehicles going. Steve, really good to see you. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best. Much appreciated for your time.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks to our supporting members, and have a great day, everyone.